A lot of tech companies and Fortune 500 companies are becoming nervous about the AI regulation bill that could come out soon. If everything goes well, California could be one of those states to approve the bill as soon as the end of this month. But what is making these companies so nervous about it? Let's find out today. But before we go and understand what the bill is all about, let's go into a little bit of background on this bill. President Biden actually signed this bill in October of 2023. The bill had about 8 clauses. The purpose was very simple. AI could be extremely powerful and it could be a boon to the society. But the biggest problem is if it is in the wrong hands, if it is used for the wrong purposes, it could be disastrous, and the government is acknowledging that. So there should be checks and balances on how government, even agencies, Fortune 500 companies, or any enterprise or an individual, how they use the data, how they use and deploy technology, what frameworks are there to keep the technology in check and balance. Now let's take a look at the clauses and what the bill actually talks about. I went to the website. I'm going to be sharing the link of this article. This is actually on the White House website where they put all their declarations. So here is a look at the bill. Let's go over the clauses one by one in a simple language. At least I will share what my understanding is. The number one is about safety and security. So what is it saying? It is actually saying that AI must be tested, monitored, and made secure before it is used. This actually includes protecting against risks in the area of cybersecurity and national security. There should always be a way for people to know when something is being created by AI. For example, let's say you're driving a self-driving car on the road. It should, basically the government is saying it should go through a rigorous set of tests to make sure it doesn't cause accidents or it can be hacked. Point number two, or the clause number two, it actually talks about how should the innovation and competition be promoted. So what this clause said was that the US is happy to lead in an AI innovation, and that's how US has always taken a pole position by investing in education, research, and attracting talent. What they want to make sure is that small businesses are competing fairly in the AI market. So as an example, a small AI startup should also have a level playing field when it comes to building solutions and frameworks and deploying the technology and having access to that technology in the marketplace. Clause number three, it actually talks about supporting the American workers. All it says is that, hey, if AI creates new jobs, workers or people who are working at that workplace, they should be the one involved in making sure that and making decisions around how AI should be used, and their job quality, and there are no biases there, and their job quality is protected. Clause number four is around advanced equity and civil rights. Basically, it says that AI should not be used in a way to discriminate against people, especially those who are already marginalized. It should comply with the laws that protect against discrimination. Clause number five, it talks about the protection for consumers. This is the most interesting one to me. Basically, what they're saying is companies who build solutions using AI, they don't get a ticket to get out of a mess if they use an AI product and that AI product breaks any of the consumer protection laws. The company cannot simply blame it on AI and say, hey, we do not know what happened. The government is saying that these laws, the consumer protection laws, would continue to be enforced, especially in critical areas like healthcare, finance, and education. Point number six, or the clause number six, is around protecting privacy and civil liberties. There is already a very strong data collection and how the data is purged and collected, and the entire data lifecycle related law. But this one further strengthens it, and it says that AI should not misuse personal data. And even government will ensure that any data collected is done in the legal and secure manner, and the privacy of citizens is protected. Clause number seven is around government's even own use of artificial intelligence. Basically, the government is saying that it must manage its own AI responsibly and attract the best talent for themselves. And lastly, it's about the global leadership that US should lead the world in developing safety frameworks for AI and work with other countries should there be any risks where they need to mitigate together. So that's the summary of the bill. Sounds about right, and also a little too high level, no? Even I thought so, but then the big question is, why are tech companies and Fortune 500 companies, why are they getting nervous about this bill if this sounds about right to all of us? What could be driving them against this? Where in Wall Street Journal, there are several large companies have mentioned that this could slow innovation, this could tie their hands, etc., etc. Let's look at some of those reasons. At least from analysis, I could think of about 6 or 7 reasons what is making them so nervous. Number one, it is the increased scrutiny and compliance requirement. So we read the clause 1, which actually talks about need for robust testing, evaluation, and security measures to be put in place before AI systems are deployed. Of course, the large tech companies will have to face stricter regulatory scrutiny, and they'll be required to implement rigorous testing and monitoring processes. Bigger reason here is that they are seeing that this will increase their costs, and it will also slow down their ability to innovate in the AI space if they have to go through all those checks and balances. Number two, I think this is the most interesting one and something very clear and obvious to us in the market. It actually talks about providing a level playing field for everybody. But we know that most tech companies, they would like to drive a monopoly of their own. It could be their cloud solutions, it could be their semiconductor chips. All of those things differentiate themselves from the industry and from their competitors, and they like to lock it down. This bill could mean that some of the most important technology that is available, government could come in and hand twist these large companies to make them available to others as well. Number three is around worker and labor considerations. I think this is another very controversial point where we are already seeing a lot of jobs being cut in the name of generative AI and the work being automated, etc., etc. The law saying, or the executive order saying, that workers should become part of making decisions on how the technology is used, and to simplify their lives or improve the quality, that kind of goes against what typically companies are doing. Companies are deploying technology to cut costs, and hence by number one way of cutting costs for them is reducing people. So I think there is obviously nervousness around this point too. Civil rights and equity concerns. I think this is another very sticky point from my perspective, where it's very hard for companies to maintain and show compliance that the use of technology is also maintaining civil rights and equality among the people who are using. We've seen that AI models can hallucinate and they could have their own biases, even though companies are working hard to protect and work against it. But companies obviously feel nervous that when this type of a law comes into picture, they will have to put extraordinary efforts and documentation to show that there's no discrimination taking place by the use of AI against people. Point number 5, I think this is the one where I feel the government is actually on the right path. So protection of the consumer, in the realm of AI investments or AI adoption by the companies. So I think the government is doing the right thing by saying, look, even if you deploy AI, it doesn't give you an excuse. We will not let you bail out if you just say, hey, this was not us messing something or impinging on the consumer rights, but this solution just came from AI, or the AI did this. Government is basically going to hold companies accountable for that. And that, of course, makes companies nervous because the opportunity for them to try something out and failing, the cost of that could be extremely high once the law comes into place. And last point, federal government has put some own restrictions by the clause on how they will use AI and how it is going to govern AI in the federal government space. I think this could also make getting contracts in the government space, uh, getting work done with government, tedious and difficult, and a lot more paperwork and compliance would also be needed in this case. All right, folks, I think those are some of the reasons behind why some of the large tech companies are feeling the pressure and getting nervous about the AI regulations. They feel that this could limit their innovation. This could slow them down. This could tie their hands. They will have to be overcautious at every step. But I also think there are some balancing acts which are there in this bill, which are still again good for the society and how consumers are going to be using technology solutions. What do you think? Which side of the debate are you on? Are you in support for free regulations or very limited regulations where companies have a free hand, or where government is actually becoming an active partner by putting stricter regulations?